What's good, everybody? Welcome. A brand new Cooligans in the building. And we have a special guest co-host today because Alexis is away on business. He's on a business trip. I don't know what that means exactly. He hasn't given me the details. I don't know where he is. What are those like Life 360 alert things that
Life
families?
alert? Life alert.
Is it Life Alert? Life
Yeah.
Alert is for the old people, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't know. Alexis is not there yet, where he's fallen and can't get up, but soon. But Alexis is away, so that's why he couldn't make it. So subbing in. I mean, a super sub, really. I mean, a man fighting for starting time on the Cooligans. The homie, dear friend of Total Soccer Show, Taylor Rockwell. Taylor, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, man. I appreciate the slow setup to the Alexis burn. That was lovely. I love that there's still never been a just me and Alexis show, and I feel like that is a way to prevent that show from being 7.5 hours long.
That's right. It's for everyone's own benefit and safety to keep you two apart as long as possible. So we're gonna go over a lot of things today. Obviously, Champions League and the U.S. Women's National Team water park game, the slip and slide derby, whatever you want to call it. Well, we have to come up with a name by the end of the show, hopefully. But we're also we pre-recorded an interview about 2-3 weeks ago with Jake Zivin, who is the lead play-by-play guy on MLS Season Pass. So all the the last year and a half of Lionel Messi matches, you've heard Jake Zivin's voice alongside Taylor Twellman. So Jake Zivin will be joining us in just a little bit to talk about this season in Major League Soccer. Okay, so Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
Now that we got all that out of the way, first of all, how you doing, man? How's
man.
TSS? How's the new baby? Congratulations.
Thank you. The applause is appreciated. Thank you for that. I did all the work, obviously. It's good, man. Two's harder than one, it turns out. We had a fun stomach bug yesterday, so everybody was home, which is always pure chaos. But now everyone's back at work and back at school, and I am here talking to you. So
okay,
life is wonderful. The show is good, man.
I'm glad you sent the babies back to work and the parents back to school.
Of course. That is how it should be. That is how it should be. All about child labor down here.
So, UEFA Champions League, let's get right into it. We had the first the second legs of the round of 16. And on Tuesday, we had Bayern Munich against Lazio. And we're going to get some Lazio burns in there because they were misbehaving quite a bit, those Lazio supporters.
That's a way to put it.
And Real Sociedad against PSG. Bayern won 3-0 in the second leg. And so that was 3-1 on aggregate. Let's start there because Bayern Munich, everybody's concerned and worried. Thomas Tuchel said, look, I'm done. Stop yelling at me. I'm leaving. So you can't yell at me anymore. And so essentially, everybody's worried about how they're doing in the league. Leverkusen is basically humiliating Bayern Munich. But Champions League is the only opportunity for Harry Kane to win a trophy, and that's been the storyline. But when this game, I don't know, before the game, I thought Bayern were going to figure it out. I wasn't too worried. Mm-hmm. But your thoughts before the game even started?
I was right there with you. This felt like, not to really lower expectations dramatically, but this felt sort of like a foregone conclusion week of Champions League. Like, I fully expected Real Madrid to get the win. They did. I thought PSG would be fine, and they were. It felt like a lot of these were sort of very likely to go the way as expected. City, certainly one of those too. So maybe Bayern Lazio was the only one that seemed like it had room for drama. But even there, even with everything going on with Thomas Tuchel, including I was told when we were recording today, breaking his toe right before the game. That's
right.
That's a fun one for him.
He said that he kicked like a door or something. He kicked something and broke his toe.
That's a good way to present squad harmony, is by saying that I broke a toe kicking something right before the game.
Sacrifice a digit for the club.
But it still felt like Bayern would get through. Obviously, they did. So you have the 4 major clubs getting through, which I guess sets up a very interesting quarterfinal. It gives us bigger clubs making it into the later rounds. But at the same time, it did sort of feel like we knew how a lot of these were going to play out, and that is mostly how they played out. So I hope that's a fun way to set the stage.
Yeah. I mean, watching the game itself, I think there's Lazio didn't look like they were. I don't know any I guess real threat. I think Immobile had that one of the better chances, and that's about it.
The flicked on header, yeah.
Yeah, and then but yeah, I don't know. I feel like this, because of the whole narrative around Harry Kane and bringing his homie Eric Dyer as reinforcements, because everybody knows you bring that winning pedigree from Tottenham, and everything is gonna be all right.
Alexis isn't here, and you're still getting in the Spurs shots. That's good of you. It's good of you to carry on the tradition.
Look, he didn't have to invite Eric Dyer. I don't know who's next. If they're gonna, bring what's his name? Udogi? I don't know who else is left.
That's great work there, Christian. Way to know that Tottenham squad, buddy.
That's the only other guy I know.
That's it. That's all you need.
So I don't know. But watching Harry Kane, you wonder. Like I like the storyline of this pressure of everybody saying he went to Bayern to basically be gifted a trophy. And that, hasn't really worked out. And then so Champions League, of all the possible trophies, the hardest one to possibly win is the only one that they have a chance. So I'm curious to see how Harry Kane, almost from a mental, psychologically, how does he handle this pressure? And I thought he handled it well. I think Bayern played really, really well. He obviously got 2 goals. But there was he played confidently, to say the least.
It's a really strange situation he must find himself in, because he's been good and he's been scoring goals. I thought he was excellent in this game versus Lazio, and obviously he gets a brace. At the same time, with the way the season has gone, it doesn't feel like it's any real fault of his. It's not like he's gone there and then not scored and underperformed and looked bad. It just feels like the situation has been bad for Bayern at club level. Leverkusen have been excellent. And so I agree with you. There probably is a little bit of pressure. There is that feeling of I came here and now it's going poorly. Am I going to be a laughingstock? This isn't great. The Spurs jokes write themselves.
Is it me? Can we ask that question? Maybe Harry Kane is the type of player that will go to any club and thrive and succeed. But the club itself, individually, he'll do great. But the club maybe won't, because even after he left, how did Tottenham start off their season? They looked happy. They looked great.
You're putting all this on Harry Kane? Nothing on the infrastructural chaos at Bayern Munich? It's all Harry Kane.
I'm just here to ask the problematic questions, Taylor. That's all. I'm doing my job as a pseudo-journalist, comedic journalist.
There we go. We had a listener question that pointed out a stat I did not know, which was, which will happen first? Harry Kane will win a league, or Kingsley Coman will lose a league? Because Kingsley Coman has won a league in every season he has been a professional. Seems like it's going to be Kingsley Coman missing out this time
right.
around. Yeah, it's a really strange one. But I thought Bayern looked very good in this game. Harry Kane looked excellent. I thought both of his goals, though they look pretty simple, are both high degree of difficulty in different ways. The second goal, especially the way he adjusts his run to make sure he puts it on frame, I thought was really well done. We saw Thomas Muller looking like old school Thomas Muller. Even somebody like Matthias de Ligt, I thought, came in and looked at the speed he needed to be, up to the level that he needed to be at. And so it still is a weird, confusing situation with Bayern, that they're very good, but then also the wheels can come off pretty spectacularly, which is maybe the Thomas Tuchel story in every club he's managed, basically. But on to the next round they go. I feel like if it's them versus Real Madrid in the next round, I will have no idea what to expect from either of those clubs.
They can dominate, in Champions League, but if they have to face Darmstadt, they don't know what to do.
Bochum is too much.
Bochum is just, I don't know what these guys are going to be bringing, so they can't handle it. The other, and obviously I made a joke about the Lazio fans, and they.
Oh, you being Nazis? Yeah.
I don't know why. I mean, bro, why are we bringing this back? We don't need it. It's a problematic time in the world. I don't understand why. Why do you think this is a good contribution to the discourse? But Lazio is just, and what hurts more is that, it's not on these players. The players just normal dudes that are looking for jobs, and former NYCFC player Tati Castellanos plays for Lazio, and then that was one of the things I was worried about when he went there. But not a good look. I don't know what else to say. I'm not saying anything anybody else has said.
I'll say this.
Or hasn't said.
Like, it's wild to me that, so you have the instances, I mean, for many, many, many years of racist abuse, racial abuse in Serie A. And I know that the supporters of certain clubs would say, we are not being racist. We're just trying to get the player frustrated. We're trying to get under Lukaku's skin so that he has a bad game. And I think I hear what they're trying to say. The argument still is that you're getting under his skin is by doing racist chants and throwing bananas on the pitch. But they're offering a defense, whereas Lazio, I feel are just oh no, we're straight up racist and Nazis. They don't even worry about pretense.
No,
we are just straight up exactly who you think we are.
No. Bigot FC, we're here. It's. I mean, look, it's. We have to. I laugh about it, but it's a very serious subject. But I don't know what it's just that the root and foundation of this club is just built on something so kind of gross. And, the supporter side, it's just it's horrible to see.
I saw somebody explaining that I thought was a very good way of putting it, which is that I don't think Lazio certainly are alone in having far right and ultranationalist supporters groups. I think the difference is that there are certain clubs that seem to have it baked into their identity, and Lazio would be one of those, identifying with Mussolini and the fascist salute and Paolo Di Canio doing that. It just feels like certain clubs embrace that more and make that more passively okay, I guess is the way to put it. So I wasn't surprised to see Lazio supporters doing that, but at the same time, it is just sort of, they are who we thought they were, and they continue to be, and it makes it impossible to ever want Lazio to do good things at any level.
And for whatever reason, they decided to take it on the road to Germany and bring that kind of rhetoric. And and especially in Germany, they don't play around with that.
I thought that was illegal. I thought they had made that outlawed. But
there's no joke.
Who knows?
We're not going to talk too much about the PSG Sociedad game because it was kind of, like you said, a foregone conclusion. Mbappe did what Mbappe does. Did you see his post-game comments?
No, I'm sure it was about, I'm not sure if I want to leave still.
No. It was actually interesting. He said the reporter, I think it was from CBS, was asking, you played so well. What inspired you? Blah, blah, blah. And he goes, that's what I do.
God, he doesn't make
I'm
it easy. He does not make it easy.
I love it. Not even, no euphemisms, no subtlety. He said, that's what I do, baby.
Do you actually love that? Be honest. It's cool if you do.
I kind of do because there's a certain, maybe with the French, they're not really necessarily that braggadocious about
the French.
No, in that particular way.
Okay, all right.
Pounding their chest, being like, "Yo, I'm him." They don't really do that. So it felt a little bit like, kind of the American confidence that we see in some players from time to time. He didn't say it in an arrogant way per se, but it was just saying it in English, saying it in a French with the French accent a little bit. There was a little bit of why are you even asking me this? This is what I do. This is what I do.
and much as I would like to begrudge him that answer, he did create 2 goals in this game.
He was spectacular, yeah.
He was. And I will say, I haven't watched a ton of PSG this season. I've been watching them more recently. And this felt like the best performance I've seen from them in a long time. Comprehensively, it felt like Luis Enrique has the team playing a recognizable style, both in attack and defense, and it feels like pretty much everyone is on board, emphasizing pretty much everyone. But then at the end of the day, it's still a team that has Kylian Mbappe, so why not go and create a goal on your own, and why not score a definitive textbook Kylian Mbappe, just 50-yard run, and then ridiculous finish, still at full speed somehow. It was sort of a double masterclass in that it made me have a lot of confidence in PSG going forward, but then also even more confidence in Kylian Mbappe. Maybe not as much confidence as he has in himself, but still close to that.
I don't know if you saw the clip from Jimmy Conrad, our friend Jimmy Conrad. He had done a Coach Jimmy kind of thing, talking about assists and what counts as an assist anymore. And he focused on this on Kylian Mbappe's first goal because Ousmane Dembele passed him a ball over, like it was over hit. Kylian obviously 1v1 and did his thing, but it was essentially from when the pass happened to when like the move happened on goal. It was like a couple seconds, and Jimmy made the argument that this shouldn't be an assist because Kylian did all the work to create create the chance and create the goal. I don't know. I mean, we didn't talk about this before. What do you think of that? Even a possible debate should that be a thing that we even discuss as far as what counts as an assist anymore?
Kinda, yeah.
Really?
I mean, I don't really have an issue with like who gets credit for the goal or the assist, but I understand where he's coming from because there are those moments where it's like, if an Inter Miami player passes it to Messi and then he dribbles 8 people and scores, like, I don't know how instrumental I was in making that
bro,
move
you
happen.
don't understand. Julian Gressel just had the vision. He knew that he was going to go break through those 8 guys. You got to give him credit where credit is due.
Now that you've brought it up, though, I am wondering if Matthias de Ligt got an assist for the Thomas Muller. They did. They gave him the assist for the volley that Thomas Muller like heads in and nobody knew until the very last second. So, I mean, that's one where I guess de Ligt deserves the credit because he's the one who puts in the initial shot. But I think there are those moments where it's like, if I pass to you and you score off the pass one time, I'll take the credit for that one. If I pass to you and then you dribble the whole team and like backheel it in and then walk away brushing the shoulder,
nah, bro,
probably not that one so much.
There's a controversy now in basketball of padding stats that people in the 90s when they were keeping stats. Pablo Torre finds out on Meadowlark. You should check out this episode. But I don't know. This is a tougher thing to do in soccer, but this feels like we're in the same kind of wheelhouse of like trying to rewrite like what the rules are, what an assist is. It's like it's just the last guy who touched it. I don't care. I mean, look, you know what? Dembele also gets paid a little bit more. He probably gets a bonus for that assist. Give him the assist. I'm fine with it.
That feels like how they probably work. So, yeah, let's give Dembele the assist. He needs all the money. It's
all right.
It's been a tough one for him.
And Man City, obviously, I've dominated in Champions League. Not much to say there. But Real Madrid against RB Leipzig, this game where it got a little scary, and especially towards the end, I'm not used to seeing Real Madrid at home look a little kind of nervous or not really maintain a lot of possession. Leipzig really could have at least maybe taken this into extra time and just made them a little bit scared. But what were your thoughts on this game?
Pretty much that. I think we had a longer conversation about this on TSS because I think I was more positive about Madrid's performance within the context of this felt like every RB Leipzig performance I've seen this season where they're get good opportunities, get themselves into good spots, but don't take those opportunities, especially recently in the Bundesliga and then in the Champions League. They've had opportunities to win games or draw games, and they haven't. So this felt very much like the recent RB Leipzig performances. At the same time, to your point, I mean, you have Dani Olmo tinging one off the post in the dying seconds.
God,
if that goes in,
brutal.
It's a very different conversation we're having. So in some ways, it does end up feeling like Madrid got through this one, maybe got a little bit fortunate. At the same time, it's a strange one where I also don't think Leipzig did enough to really make me feel like, they were so hard done by. This could have been entirely different. The only thing I would add to that is that Dani Carvajal, I would argue, should have been sent off in the first leg. I think there's an argument Vinicius Jr. should have been sent off in this one for his shove on Willy Orban. He gets a yellow for, I think, the initial contact, but not for the follow-up shove. And if he's sent off, he's obviously the goal scorer later on. That might have changed things. If Carvajal was sent off in the first game, that might have changed things. But those two kind of wrinkles aside, it just felt like Leipzig didn't have that killer instinct, and Real Madrid did.
Yeah. The pass from Bellingham to Vinicius was just beautiful, and then also the finish was just like, bro, it felt like one of those things where both of them, I'm looking at both of them and I'm like, man, they must love that they play on the same team. You know what I mean? Like these guys must be, I don't know if they're friends or not or whatever, but there's just something about how both of their skill sets almost fit perfectly for being teammates.
It's wild, man. It's wild. They have to be buddies. They have to be. Because even just the run from Vinny. So Vinicius stays wide as Bellingham carries that ball forward for people who haven't seen. And then there are other attackers who'd be like, never mind, Bellingham's going to take it himself. I'll just keep myself wide, try to pull defenders out, see what he does. And instead, that interior run from Vinicius is so smart, and it's in the exact gap where Bellingham is able to hit it. Bellingham, I think, knows he's going to do that. that sort of awareness that you get when two guys are thriving together or have played a bunch together. And you could see it in that performance that even though Madrid weren't particularly good, if you give them that one opportunity, they're going to punish you. And Vinicius is that player who can score goals out of nowhere and make something happen, even when he's been frustrated the whole game, even when he probably should have been sent off. If you give him that opportunity, he's going to take it. And credit to Bellingham, who now I think is suspended for 2 games in La Liga, but can still play Champions League games, and I think the world is better for it.
Without a doubt. Mike, let's. I want to toss to you real quick because I want to make sure we have to at least try to figure out who's. I don't even know who's left in Champions League.
Yeah. So we're gonna be doing this. Just want to get your guys with our friends over at DraftKings. Want to get your guys' opinions on who you think after
Manchester City.
Manchester City. Okay, that's an easy one for Taylor, I guess. But yeah, definitely head over to the DraftKings app. You can see the team futures for who you think is going to win Champions League. Taylor takes Man City, who's currently at plus 160, which is still pretty good value. They're the heavy favorites.
That means I took the underdogs, right? Total underdogs. No one saw them coming.
Yeah. All right. Real Madrid is currently listed at plus 450. They're second best. Bayern Munich plus 600. Arsenal plus 650. And we'll stop it out with Inter Milan at plus 900.
Yeah, the Real Madrid feels pretty good. I mean, I know Manchester City still sort of, still look like the best team in the world, but there's nothing that says even in the last year's Champions League final they didn't dominate by any means. Have they gone through enough heartbreak to give themselves the leg up in the Champions League? I don't know. I don't think their hearts have been broken enough. I think Real Madrid still goes in. If they're facing each other, I still go with the confidence that Real Madrid have as an organization that they'll probably win the Champions League another time over Manchester City. Not to say that they got lucky last year in the final, but it wasn't that convincing.
Mm-hmm. I think I'm surprised by some of those odds because, Madrid, I think I understand why they're always going to be high up there, but I might put Inter ahead of.
I was going to say
Bayern
agree
and
with
Arsenal.
You, Taylor. I think Inter Milan is incredible value. I know Serie A clubs haven't won Champions League in a while, but plus 900, Inter's one of the best teams in Europe right now, no doubt about it.
And went to the final last year. I mean, beaten by Man City, so that's probably why they're not ahead of Man City. But right. we did our Big Thing episode for this Friday was about Inter Milan and how they've done what they've done and how they built this team and giving Simone Inzaghi more credit than maybe he gets, broadly speaking. I think Inter are poised to make a run. And honestly, after this game, maybe it's waiting too much on PSG and La Real. I don't think we're particularly good on the day, but I was impressed by them. And I think Lucho has gotten a lot out of this team. He's got young performers performing well. He has Kylian Mbappe. He has Ousmane Dembele somehow playing centrally but looking good. They are a stronger team than I expected them to be. So I also wouldn't be surprised if PSG went on a little bit of a run.
Yeah, PSG currently listed at plus 1,100 on DraftKings, the highest odds out of any of the teams we just mentioned. So yeah, definitely make sure to head over to the DraftKings Sportsbook app and put your bets in.
I got no faith in PSG, bro. I don't know. Okay,
that's fair.
Okay, when they ask Kylian, hey, how'd you manage to lose the Champions League again? He's gonna say, that's what I do. Okay.
Okay. He's gonna say that's what they do. I think that's when it will be the team, not him.
Before we get to Jake, I want to talk about the U.S. Women's National Team Gold Cup semifinal, U.S. against Canada, out at Snapdragon Stadium, and I mentioned where the game was played because it rained in San Diego. Which what happened? It doesn't rain in San Diego. We all saw Anchorman. It's the most beautiful weather city in the world, right? And it rained quite a bit, and the pitch was quite waterlogged. I mean, certain parts of it you couldn't connect passes. We saw the first goal from Jaden Shaw, which only happened because of a back pass that didn't even get close to the goalkeeper, Caitlin Sheridan. And
the puddle got the assist on that.
Puddle got the puddle.
Giving credit where credit's due.
This is where we need to update the record books. The puddle needs to get some credit in that goal.
The sentient puddle, yeah. Kind of even for the second goal, too, for the Sophia Smith goal. Yeah, that one holds up. Like, it gets flicked on by Rose Lavelle and definitely holds up because of another puddle. So puddles playing a big role in this game.
And the puddles helped with certain goals, also hurt with some. I mean, there was a run in the first half that Trinity Rodman was making, and she literally is going to be 1v1 against the goalkeeper, and she overran the ball. The ball was back there while she was going forward.
It was brutal. It was brutal.
So it was difficult to watch. And look, as just a fan watching it, I'm just like, this is especially the first half so uncomfortable. I'm like, one, I'm worried somebody's gonna get hurt. Two, I'm just like, you can't make any passes. So they're just sending the ball over the top, over and over and over, just up in the air. It's just everybody's heading the ball. There's almost no point in keeping the ball on the ground. And there was a little bit of controversy. I don't know if you've been seeing it on Twitter, but there was a little bit of controversy about why the game was even played at all, because everybody's tagging Christina Uncle and trying to find out if the ref decided that this game was supposed to go forward. But then there's footage of the referee speaking to someone from CONCACAF, and the CONCACAF person is telling them that the game has to be played. So there might have been some disagreements. Some people are blaming the ref, some people are blaming CONCACAF. Even the players after the game were just like, nobody wanted to play this game, but it is what it is. They had to do it. So in the midst of the snow game from RSL and LAFC, and then there's just been a lot of complaining and frustration. But in general,
global warming is a myth, though. Don't worry.
Okay, it's all good. I'm glad you said it. You stole the words right out of my mouth, Taylor. In general, just your opinion. Is it should the game, both of the games maybe, should they have even been played at all?
Probably not. I honestly think the USA Canada game was worse.
I agree.
Mostly because I kind of like snow games. I like playing in the snow. I like when the orange ball comes out and you have to constantly clear the line so you can see where the touchline is. But it also yes, it's gonna dictate how you play, and it's gonna impact the aesthetically pleasing nature of
the product.
A game.
That's my issue. It's the product is worse. Right?
Yeah,
I mean, objectively.
Sure. And but at least in snow, you kind of know it's going to be calamitous. With that pitch last night, it's much more just you don't know. As you said, if you're on a dribble and you feel like you're going to make something happen, and suddenly the ball has stopped and you've kept running, it did devolve into. It reminded me of playing beach soccer. If you've ever done that, where you have to lift the ball up to then hit it, you can't just kick it the way you normally would. It was a lot of that, and it was a lot, to your point, of just. It was like tug of war and golf simultaneously, of just kicking it one way, kicking it back, and eventually working it down the field in that style. And it did seem like Lindsey Horan seemed to figure it out pretty quickly. That just kick the ball long and just try to figure out what chaos is going to happen accordingly. And there was so much chaos in that game.
Yeah. I mean, everyone was no back passes. No,
after the one.
after the one, they learned from their mistake, but no back passes, and then just clear it. Doesn't matter if you think you're gonna get. You can maybe maintain control, or whatever. It was just clear it out of the touchline. Worry about it later, and get back to defending.
Lori Lindsay, who I love when she does commentary, she did have one moment where she was like, you got to just put it out of bounds. And I was like, she might have been trying to. That ball just stopped. I can't really fault anybody for that one, for not seeing that coming. I was shocked even that the U.S. celebrated the way they did. Honestly, if that's me scoring a goal, probably I just run off and celebrate. But I think there's at least a little bit of you that would be like, hey, I know. That was not it's like when Messi vaults the player and then still gets the shot off. It's got to be a little bit I know that wasn't cool, but I had to go for it anyway.
I mean,
sorry.
It was I think a reasonable celebration. If she would have started doing the worm after celebration, I'm like, Jaden Shaw, I don't know if you need to do all that. I mean, I think the water did most of the work here.
A little bit.
But so it was a game that started off pretty dull. I thought the U.S. would just hold on, because where were the goals going to come from? It didn't feel like there were going to be that many opportunities. But Canada figured something out. I mean, they got Jordan Heidemann got the tying goal, and it was 1-1. And then Sophia Smith gets the second goal in extra time after Rose Lavelle wins a header
we all saw that
off
coming,
of two
right?
center backs. I didn't know Rose got ups like that, but apparently she does. So
Roosevelt is 3.5 feet tall, right? You've met her.
Roosevelt is, I think, she has to be like 5'6", maybe 5'7". I mean, we interviewed her, and she's not that tall. But that was an impressive
5'4".
5'4".
That's what she lists at. I feel like maybe a couple inches shorter than that. She is noticeably small. Like I remember watching her play for the Spirit and just being like, oh, there's a 13-year-old. Oh, it's Rose Lavelle, who's like still ridiculously good. I love her as a player. She's incredible. It was wild to see her winning a header over two center backs to play in another player. That's not really what I expect from her. But
so big goal for Sophia Smith, who obviously was pretty emotional, especially after the World Cup that she had and stuff like that. But then that's when the game started getting interesting because they, the first half of extra time, they got the goal. It just feels. I was just praying for. First of all, I was praying for no extra time. Then I was like, all right, no penalties. Thank you, Sophia Smith. And then it's Adriana De Leon, I think.
Yeah.
De Leon. She scores the penalty after Alyssa Nair
murders somebody.
Just literally punches a Canadian.
Yep.
And it was a fairly serious injury. The player had to be. There was also another controversy because the player got subbed off. It was a concussion sub before penalties. So apparently the substitution happened 4 seconds before the final whistle. And we all know you can't make substitutions in penalties. So they got in the concussion sub literally 4 seconds before the final whistle was blown. So some people were kind of confused as to why they got another substitution. But from everything I've read, that's the reason. But then Alyssa Nair, the Alyssa Nair show. Not only does she stop 3 penalties, but scores 1 as well. So again, another player after a World Cup whose penalties ended the World Cup for the U.S. This was it went from what game are we watching to like, bro, this is the best game I've ever seen. So I don't know. It was quite an emotional journey.
We talk about a lot on our show that like, do we really need extra time or like or overtime? Can we just go straight to penalties, please? And this was one where then there's the goal. And it's like, okay, who knew? Who knew it was gonna work? But then in the end, we still get penalties. I'll say I love playing on a team when there's a person who's like, I want the penalty. I don't love it when they're not good at taking them, but it's always nice to have that person who's like, nah, I got this. I'm stepping up. I'm going to finish it. You need that level of assertiveness, and she definitely had it on the night.
The third taker. I mean, there had to be a conversation as to like, all right, who's stepping up? And she's like, me. I'm like, all right, well, you're the keeper. We usually don't have you on this early. You're usually the 11th taker when we've gone through all the field players. So, I mean, what?
I don't think it was a conversation. I think she was like, I'm taking one. I don't care where, I'm taking one. And she did.
I met Alyssa Nair when she went to Ali Krieger's. Her and Megan Rapinoe went to Ali Krieger's like retirement party right before right after the final regular season game in NWSL, and so I got to meet Alyssa Nair, and this is what I said to her. This is what I said to her. I went up to her and I said,
"Please don't punch me in the face."
No, I said it didn't go over the line from the World Cup. I said it didn't go over the line. And she goes, I know, right? And she just became a different person. Like I unlocked the real Alyssa Nair.
that sounds about right, man.
I loved it.
She was so good too. I mean, in the shootout at least, she makes those saves. She scores that goal. It's nice to have that type of player who's there, who just like wants to shoot, wants to make the saves, wants to kind of make up for the mistake, and I think she did.
Yeah, it says a lot about, because there were a lot of questions about if she would be the goalkeeper at the Olympics and having this success in the tournament, and maybe they go on to win it. They obviously are facing Brazil, but now I feel like the questions are kind of, going to get a little quieter because she's having quite the tournament.
And since you made her feel supported in saying that it didn't go over the line, do you feel like you get credit for her resurgence?
I mean,
you get the assist.
I'm her life coach now, bro. I'm here to motivate Alyssa Nair. I'll say this: Alyssa Nair, you see interviews and stuff like that, and she's like a fairly, she is not 5'4". She is she's probably like she's like might be like 6'1" or something. She is a serious lady. She brings that seriousness, I think, everywhere she goes. So yeah, I don't want to be the one to tell her that she's not going to be on the Olympic roster. That's all I'm saying.
But you got her. You flipped that then. So you got her feeling good. You got her like being light. Well done, my friend.
We're happy to help U.S. Women's National Team. All right. Let's go on to our interview with Jake Zivin. Obviously, he's the play-by-play guy for MLS Season Pass. You've heard him obviously on a lot of games if you're watching Major League Soccer, and we get to get some insight on what it's like, especially since Messi joined the league, and what MLS is like, what Apple TV is doing. So we got a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. Taylor,
I can't believe you found a way to talk about Lionel Messi. That like so rarely happens when we talk about Major League Soccer. Credit to you, Christian. Well done.
Look, I really got to crowbar it in there because it's kind of tough nowadays. So Taylor, we will not be doing an outro, so I want to give you an opportunity to just plug anything before we go on to Jake. Where can people follow and watch if they have been living under a rock and have not listened to Total Soccer Show yet? Where can they find you guys?
Wherever you get your podcast. Total Soccer Show is 5 days a week, and then we also do one called Soccer 101, which is usually once a week. It was not this week because I was sick, so we'll double up next week. But that's more of like explainers on sometimes bigger concepts, sometimes more basic concepts, but spending a little bit more time with like single topics. It's a nice little bite-sized podcast.
It's a great show. The next topic should be, what is an assist? Okay.
I like that one. I think we're doing doping as the next one. Doping scandals in soccer history.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, obviously, Paul Pogba, I'm sure, going to come up in that conversation.
Did something happen? What do you mean?
All right. So here, Taylor Rockwell, thank you so much. And
thank you. It was a pleasure to be here.
Our convo with Jake Zivin.
Another amazing guest here on the Cooligans.
The home. It's always nice to reconnect with the homies.
Hey, how you been?
How you been?
You know?
What's going on with your life?
Remember What's Good was really good? Remember that?
Yes, I do recall.
What an era. Mike, you might not remember this, Mike, but there was a time in New York when you would say to somebody, yo, was good, and their response would be, yo, was really good. And sometimes your response to that would be, but what's really, really good.
Okay. So,
and it went nowhere.
so hopefully this conversation will.
No, this will be better. This is amazing because the last time we spoke to this gentleman, I believe he was still working for the Portland Timbers.
That's right, doing the play-by-play. Yeah,
and now he is the lead play-by-play for all of Apple Plus MLS contract, whatever I don't know how you say any of this, but ladies and gentlemen, maybe he can explain it to us. The one, the only Jake Zivin, everybody.
Jake, what's good, brother?
Hey, thank you guys. It's great to be back. Do people not say what's good anymore? Like I've been saying that since high school, and I feel like I guess I'm
say
gone.
What's good.
Okay,
yeah, but
it's
I
just
don't
the
think
response.
people. It's who's going to respond what's really good to you?
Right.
Yeah, because I mean it's just an endless loop that really isn't productive.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
It allowed me to say hello to my friends without having to get into anything emotional.
That's right.
If there's something, what's less than small talk? It's
Yeah.
that.
Right,
Oh. And then your wife will go, hey, did you see your friend? Yeah, how's he doing? Hey, you said he's good. You know what I mean?
That's
Now
right.
I don't have to do anything else.
His wife posted that they got divorced. You didn't talk about that? I didn't come up.
But you thought he would have said it when I said, but what's really, really, really good? Maybe I should have said what's bad.
That's right. That was
Okay.
exactly what's
I mean,
bad.
okay, this can devolve very quickly, Jake. Sorry.
I'm all for that. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Look, obviously, you are the last 12 months. You are the arguably one of the most heard voices in American soccer.
In the world.
In the world.
In the
No,
world.
don't
Because-
remind me.
You and Taylor Twellman are just constantly in my ears all the times.
Are they calling you on off days? What is happening?
Because obviously, especially when Lionel Messi announced that he was going to be joining Major League Soccer, that's it. Everybody at Apple, everybody at MLS was like, okay, who are the people that are going to narrate this story? And we've known you for a long time. Obviously, you were doing play-by-play for the Portland Timbers.
7 years, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, was that 8, 9? I don't. Yeah,
Yes.
It feels like
Look,
forever. Feels like
it felt
in a good way.
It was bittersweet more sweet when we were in Portland when NYCFC won the MLS Cup title.
Pretty sweet.
And we saw you up there. You were behind us. You were behind like the support, like the gantry type thing.
We were in the stands.
And I was like, oh, I'm so happy. Why isn't Jake happy as well? But no, and I realized,
why is he showing us that one finger?
No.
So it's been a minute since we all got to hang out. We've seen you at different MLS events and stuff like that. But this has been just a kind of transformative year, I think, for American soccer, specifically MLS. But the fact that you get to be a part of that and really telling that story, I mean, tell us what the last 12 months have been like.
Yeah, crazy, right? Like you said, beyond anything that I think I could have expected or that we could have expected. Of course, it's what I wanted. I'm a diehard MLS guy. Grew up loving the Chicago Fire from the beginning of the league, right? Like I remember where I was when Eddie Pope scored the golden goal in the '96 MLS Cup. And so for me to be in this role was like a total dream come true. And then when Messi joined the league mid-season, everything just exploded, right? I mean, you mentioned how many people have listened to my voice. Like that was overwhelming, especially at first. He scores this goal and we're like watching the YouTube counts and the Facebook and the views on Twitter of the clip of his goal against Cruz Azul, his first goal. It's just like, oh my goodness, right? I mean, it's like 100 million plus total when it's all combined. I don't know what it is now. Which is literally like overwhelming, but fantastic. And again, kind of pinched me, and it's an honor. It's something I take seriously, right? Like I feel like there's pressure. Obviously, there's pressure, but there's pressure to like be the steward for this league and be the narrator for these important moments that are going to live on forever. And it's an honor to be able to be doing that. And yeah, I'm excited for year 2.
Let me ask, because I need to know. Obviously, you're with Apple before the Messi news breaks.
Yeah.
But when that news breaks, how much earlier than the public did you know about it? Now you could talk about that. But also, talk to me about the group chats. What happened on your phone the moment people around you, both working in soccer and not, realize you are going to be the one who's going, go for Messi?
Do you start clearing your voice like, go Messi? Messi. How am I going to deliver this?
Lionel. Oh, no, the other name. What happened in the group chat? Like, what happened in your life the moment you found out about the Messi news, and what happened the moment the public found out?
Man, we found out. I think the moment the public did, and I think a lot of people did, right? I mean, he kept it pretty close to the vest. Jorge Mas obviously was always really confident in it, quietly confident, and he didn't make a show of it. He didn't publicly court Messi, but I think he was always confident. But I think nobody knew until kind of Messi made that announcement that morning. I remember I was in LA. We were getting ready for a game. I don't remember which game it was. I think it was an LAFC game. We were staying at a hotel in like Skid Row, this like funky, like boutique-y hotel. And I remember it coming across the screen.
That's what we call a Super 8 now?
That's honestly. I think, man, it's like a weird, man. Taylor and I always joke when we're staying at those hotels, like, I don't want to know what happened in the 1920s in this building. You know what I mean? Like Skid Row of Los Angeles.
Don't lift the carpet.
Exactly. And I remember like texting Taylor, like, man, like, oh my, and we went and we grabbed lunch down the street, and just talking through it. And look, there were still things that had to happen. We were immediately thinking, like, how do we talk about this tonight on our broadcast? Because I think it was on a Wednesday. I think it was a weekday game. And like, okay, it's not he's announced it, right? But it's not official, and we're like the official broadcaster of the league. So can we talk about it? How do we talk about it? What do we say? And, settle down. Like, he's announced his intention to play for Inter Miami. And yeah, look, of course, we thought, oh, yeah, like we're probably going to be going to Miami a lot. But you never know. You never know what the assignments are going to be. You never know if, when you're in the spot that we're in, right, like there could be changes at any time. So, of course, when it became apparent, okay, we're doing these games. We're doing the Cruz Azul game. We're going to do all their Leagues Cup games and event, a lot of their games. You start thinking about kind of how to document these moments and how to call these moments. But ultimately, I always want it to be natural. Any call, any goal call, any call in a big moment. You think about how you could handle a certain moment, but you don't want to script it out, for me at least, because then I think it comes across as fake. So
okay.
He was practicing in the mirror. I was
I do my throat warm ups before every game.
Okay. This is what I'm curious about, because it is obviously a big important moment and a big sort of challenge. So you just said there, like, you don't want to like script it out, but then, let's take a look behind the curtain as far as like, as stand-up comics, we sometimes we watch other stand-up comedians. We see like, okay, this is, not necessarily in style that you want to sort of take from them, but you just like, all right, how do I get that same fan base? How do I try to,
best practices, if you will. Yeah,
so obviously, a lot of people have made legendary Messi calls. Is there any kind of research behind it? Are you looking up Ray Hudson's magisterial YouTube highlights?
Are you looking up how to cry on the moment?
Are you even comparing yourself to other announcers? Like how much how much ego is involved? How much are you self-conscious about it in any way?
I am very self-conscious. There's no doubt about it. And I have imposter syndrome and all of those things that I force myself to get over. Compare myself to other announcers. I try not to. I think. My style is like a combination of, I think, just kind of like soccer in this country is a combination of all these influences, right? Like first and foremost, American broadcasting. That I grew up in Chicago listening to, watching, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls, and watching the Cubs and watching the Bears and watching the Fire. And soccer wasn't easy to watch growing up. It was easier to watch on Univision and Telefutura. And so there is, I think, an element of the Spanish, Latin American style of broadcasting, which is, faster, right? More excited than, say, the British style of soccer broadcasting, which is much more kind of withdrawn and poetic. And the general American style of broadcasting, I think, is as a high energy in big moments as well. So I feel like I try to lay out a lot, which is kind of a British style, but bring it in big moments, which is kind of the American style, or, like the Spanish language, at least in this country, right? Spanish language soccer broadcasting in America. I, have listened to enough around the world. It's obviously similar. If you listen to Argentinian games, right? It's similar style. So it's kind of this combination of everything. And so, yeah, I don't like compare myself to how people called it in a World Cup or on a world feed or Ray Hudson, right? You cannot, if you do not try to replicate that. It's not going to work. And Phil Shane, who was his partner for so many years at beIN Sports, right? He's a great play-by-play broadcaster. So yeah, no, I think you just got to be yourself. Honestly, like for me in broadcasting, and I'm sure it's the same for you guys, right? Like you have to be yourself. And if you're not, I think it comes through as fake and forced, and I think listeners can tell. And so for me, my focus in broadcasting my whole career has always been just to be yourself. You've got to be like a refined version of yourself, but you've got to be yourself.
Refined. That's what you and I keep forgetting.
I may be on air appropriate.
I do. I want to know, because you said you've been a fan of this league. I mean, you brought up the phrase golden goal, which I haven't heard in years. But clearly you've been following this league since day one, so then I have to ask.
Yeah.
Is Messi or Beckham? Who's the bigger signing for MLS?
Yeah, it's interesting, right? I think Messi ultimately, but one wouldn't happen without the other, right? And so like David Beckham's, if you look throughout the history of MLS, there are inflection points, right? There's the creation of the league was a big one. The
Cooligans started.
World Cup
Cooligans started was a very big, huge milestone.
That's a big one.
Big one. You got to start. That's like, Cooligans started. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, New York City FC coming into the league, right? Like, got to look at the genesis of you guys, right? So let's go back to that, and then blah, 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 blah. Right? Like, it started, and then it almost failed, and the league was saved, right, in the early 2000s. And then Beckham coming. Like, that's the big one. And now you've got designated players coming into the league, and you've got more focus globally on Major League Soccer because of David Beckham, and you've got casual just people who want to see what Becks and Posh are up to in the United States. Then I think, like, Toronto, Portland, Seattle coming into the league and showing like a downtown urban stadium with a younger fan base, what that can do, totally change things. And now that's kind of the focus of every new team that comes into the league is to be like that. Then you've got like the kind of the level uppers of the expansion teams, the LAFCs, the Atlantas, like, okay, you can compete right away and win right away and be really ambitious right away, right off the bat. And now we have this next era. We have Lionel Messi joining, and it's just a new stratosphere. So, yeah, again, like I don't think one could happen without the other, but I think long term, it's going to be Messi because of where the league is at this point. And it's all like, I'm going to sound like a corporate shill right here, but it's in conjunction with MLS going to Apple, being available globally, right? Everywhere around the world in one spot with no blackouts, and Messi joining in, the biggest global superstar in the game. And now everybody around the world can access MLS through Lionel Messi and through Apple And so to me, it's just like the perfect timing and the perfect move, so to speak, for MLS to kind of just take off into the future.
Yeah, I was going to say, people weren't really checking with David Beckham shopping at the grocery store right before he signed, bro.
It's a different
Public
era.
stock went up.
It did, didn't it?
It's a different era. Obviously, social media is in a different place than it was
Right.
when Beckham
Exactly.
joined. And then just the media opportunities and marketing opportunities are immense with Lionel Messi. You mentioned, obviously, Apple being available, MLS Season Pass being available globally. I'm just curious, now that there is a larger audience listening to you, you've read a negative comment. There's no way you haven't.
Oh, man.
One?
anyone-
Wait, there's only been one? There's only been one negative comment?
Bro, Jake's therapist is like, yes, talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. That's right.
Has there been anyone that stood out? I mean, usually when people obviously hear American announcers, there's always the judgment, the bias of like, I can't listen to American announcers. But any
Or comedians talking about the sport. Happens to us all.
we've heard those too. Is there any that
Amen.
stand out that you were like, oh wow, that one that got me where I didn't think I had I couldn't be insulted in that way, but they got me.
My favorite comment, which I feel like I see a lot, is like, why do you have WWE announcers on these games, right? Which I think is hilarious. And I'm like, wait, I'm not Kevin Egan. What are you talking about? Like,
You got
Kevin
the
Egan's
wrong
on this other
do
game.
got
Come
that,
on.
but that's
Come
not
on.
me.
We do have that. That's not me. That's not me.
That is a style. If there's an Atlanta United game, Kevin might be doing that.
But you do learn where the rest of the world learns about Americans.
Exactly. That's what
and
it
that's
is.
the only point of reference they have
That's
for us.
exactly right. That's what it is. Like, if you're in Britain, you're not listening to Kevin Harlan calling games, right? I'm like, goes into Kevin Harlan, like, it's a man's jam. You know what I mean? Right? Like, then you would say, oh, he sounds like the NBA guys. No, but like if you're in London, your reference of American sports announcers for your whole life has been WWE. So that's where they go with that. So I think that's pretty funny. Yeah.
Somebody once commented on one of our reels, like, I can't stand these guys. They just yell jokes over each other and laugh at their own jokes. And someone commented, like, have you never been to New York? Like, that's literally the train.
That's how we
just
talk.
That's how life is here.
Well, yeah, there is something to, different regions of the world consume the game in a different way.
Yeah, how did Al Nasser fans react to you?
Yeah, exactly. They were buzzing. I don't, they had 6. That's all they said.
Yeah,
right? They had
dude.
6.
I mean, I want to talk about Miami's preseason because it has been, they're the comments of like, it's a cash grab and
Yeah, it's not a preseason. This has been a promotional tour, right?
which is
No, most people's preseasons don't take them around the world.
Pele Santos had to do the same thing.
100%.
They did that with Pele when he was in his book. He talked about we had to play in places all over the world on very little sleep. And he'd be like, well, but I still humiliated the British.
Yeah.
People, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But in general, they did speak of the exhaustion of just being you're a traveling circus. I mean, and look, Messi's getting paid quite a bit of money. You got to recoup it.
Hey, Jorge Mas, like, I gotta even this out. I'm gonna hit the break-even point here, folks.
I'm not necessarily mad at it, but just I think the results for some fans are just like, oh wait, is this going to be a bad season for Miami given how difficult preseason has looked?
It's interesting. Look, and the Galaxy and Beckham did the same thing, right? Like, they went overseas. They went to Japan. They played friendlies in Hawaii. Right? Like, they did that as well. Like you said, it's the reality of what's going to happen. I think if you're they are also like evangelists for the MLS brand and for American soccer and for Inter Miami. Now, would you have liked the results specifically against Al Nassr and Al Hilal to go different in that respect because of this just fan narrative of the Saudi Pro League versus MLS? Yeah, of course, but different. This is preseason for Miami. They were traveling a lot. They were playing games with 3 days apart early in the preseason, right, which is not what you want, against teams that are kind of in midseason form, like coming off of a midseason break. I don't look into results in that regard. I think that exhaustion is going to be a real question for them this year, right? I mean, there's never been a team in MLS with this much talent, right? But it's talent that's towards the end of their career and that has already traveled over 25,000 miles before they've played a game that counts. They've got CONCACAF Champions Cup. Open Cup. We'll see what kind of roster they put out for those games. You've got MLS. You're gonna have Leagues Cup. They're the defending Leagues Cup champs. You're gonna have Messi going away to Argentina, possibly Suarez going away to play for Uruguay. They've got other Diego Gomez just balled out for Paraguay at the under 23, the CONMEBOL pre-Olympic qualifying tournament, helping Paraguay qualify for the Olympics. He's their captain. He's going to the Olympics and going to prepare for the Olympics. Same thing with Thiago Almada, who led Argentina to the Olympics, for Atlanta, right? So MLS is going to lose a lot of players, but for Miami specifically, one, they didn't have Diego Gomez in this preseason, and he's looking really good. So that's something to factor in. But they're going to lose a lot of other players to international duty as well. So, yeah, I think that's a question. How they handle the grind of this season, the travel of this season, I think is a legitimate question. And I think the narrative of a month ago of are they going to win 4 trophies? It's probably shifted a little bit. I mean, we did the Al Nassr game, and Taylor Twellman's question at halftime of our broadcast was, will Miami make the playoffs? And that's such a Taylor thing, right? To be asking that question instead of how many trophies will they win. But I think he's onto something, right? It's going to be, I think, a lot more difficult for them than the assumption. And to me, that is great in the sense of that's really intriguing. I want to see how they handle this. I want to see what Tata Martino does on a week-to-week basis with this group. I want to see how Lionel Messi, Suarez, Busquets, Alba, how they hold up. Kristoff even, guys like that, how they hold up. They're already down Kramaski for 2 to 3 months. Farias for the whole season, which is brutal. Yeah. It's a fascinating. It's going to be a fascinating season to watch and to follow and to document.
You obviously spent a long time calling the games for the Portland Timbers. So I hate to put you on the spot or to put you on the hot seat, but my question is, Phil Neville's walking in, following what a lot of people would consider to be, at least a heart and soul legend in Gio Savarese. Phil Neville coming in, didn't have a great time in Miami, didn't have a wonderful time being an assistant with Canada. Do you think he walks in on the hot seat? Do you think the fans are expecting a lot?
I think there's obviously there's high expectations in Portland, right? It's a big club in this league. The Portland Timbers are a big club in this league, and so do I think Phil Neville is on the hot seat in the sense that if they're not in playoff position midway through the season? No, absolutely not. Do I think that there are just general expectations for the Timbers to make the playoffs and to be contenders? Of course. Yeah. I mean, not from fans. Yes, from fans, but from everybody within the organization, from Merritt Paulson to Ned Grabavoy to every person that works at Providence Park. I mean, the Timbers have been to 3 MLS Cups since 2015. Every 3 years, they've been in MLS Cup. This is the pattern now, right? 2015, 2018, 2021, 2024. They're used to being contenders. They haven't always made the playoffs, right? And so maybe that makes it a little more palatable that they missed the playoffs the last 2 years. It's not like a Seattle. It's always there, always in the playoffs. They miss the playoffs. It's what's happening? But yeah, I think big expectations. They just played New York City FC. I know you guys watched that stream from the Coachella Valley Invitational the other day.
Right?
Totally.
Was it a draw?
I thought 1-1 draw. I thought the Timbers looked good. Evander looks fit. They scored a good Felipe Morris scored a good goal. So yeah,
they had 2 goals on each end, and there was 22 players.
Who knows? There was a spirally, colorful, spirally tower in the background. People taking Instagram pictures. Yeah,
I mean, I could sit here and analyze the whole game.
You replaced Taylor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you miss the predictability, at least, of working with one team and focusing on just one? I mean, I know you obviously last season did a lot. You announced a lot of Inter Miami games.
Sure.
But it's a different job. When do you know of your assignment of I guess with you specifically, you probably know because it's probably my Inter Miami. But in general, the going to all these different cities, flying out. Where do you fly out? A day or 2 before the match. It's obviously a little bit different than just working with one club.
It is different. I'll say this: we're not going to do every Inter Miami match this year. So everybody that doesn't want to see that, you're going to be all right. There's what's nice about this setup is there's flexibility, right? We get assignments, in chunks at a time, is what I'll say. So we don't have to and for my previous gig with the Timbers, it wasn't the case. But for Taylor, for example, Taylor and John Champion or John Strong and Stu Holden with Fox and ESPN, they set their schedules a month and a half before the season started, and they had to predict what's going to be an important game in mid-October. Like that, and there was flexibility on the last day of the year, but that's it. And so they might get stuck with a dud on September 20th while, the local broadcast is doing the game of the week that's going to decide the Supporters' Shield.
Right.
We now have the flexibility to see as the season goes on, FC Cincinnati's on a Supporters' Shield winning pace. Like, we're going to go to Cincinnati more, right? And so that's great. I love the variety. Like I said, like I've grown up my whole life loving this league as a whole. And so for me to go to a different place every week is just fantastic. And to do kind of the best game, so to speak, right? I mean, not necessarily the best game, but just like a different game between two really good teams every week is a total dream job for me. I miss certain aspects of kind of doing the Timbers game every week, mostly just the people, right? I mean, we were like a family. Our broadcast crew, Ross Smith, who's still, involved. Ross is one of the analysts, works with Tony Husband, MLS Season Pass. He is one of my best friends in the whole world. I miss like that aspect of it. Our producers, our directors, just all the people around the club. But I still live in Portland. I still see all the Timbers people all the time, and do a little work with the club as well. So it's a nice kind of easy transition. But as far as the actual job, I love it. Honestly, it's been my dream job my whole life. No hyperbole. If you ask me in high school or in college, like what my dream job is, it's what I'm doing now, to be the lead play-by-play broadcaster for Major League Soccer for like the game of the week. So man, it's fantastic.
Amazing. Yeah. I mean,
it's a beautiful thing.
Best voice in WWE, Jake Zivin.
That's what
I love it.
Messi from the top row.
Throw some of those in there.
Announcer fans are like, I got it. I got a comment.
Super kick. His finisher is the super kick, no doubt about it.
Busquets with the people's elbow.
Yeah. Whoa. I wish I knew more about wrestling. The sweet chin music. Red card.
That counts. That counts.
This guy paid attention once or twice. I want to ask though, across your whole career now, I think you've answered this question before, but maybe that answer's changed. What's the favorite moment you've called that your voice is attached to?
Oh man, right. So like, obviously the Messi's goal against Cruz Azul would be kind of like has to be at the top of the list, but I'm like kind of this ultimate contrarian, right? And so for me still, I think when I look back on it, the double post game, Portland Timbers, Sporting Kansas City, that was the third TV game I ever called for the Timbers. And that game, there wasn't necessarily a moment in that game, that the actual double post, I'm like, okay with my call, it was fine. And when I go back and listen to that game now, I'm like, oh my God, like I said, my voice sounds thin. What am I saying in these times? But just being able to call that game, it was so.
I've never heard that before.
Thin. Yeah, thin. You don't have any problem with that. You got the big, bassy,
everything
deep
about
voice.
me thick, man. That voice sound heavy, bro.
So that game, like, still for me, it's hard to top, man. That game was wild. But I think as time gets separated from the Messi goal against Cruz Azul, that'll probably come to the top. I love my favorite call that I've ever had. Was his goal in the Leagues Cup final, Messi's goal in the Leagues Cup final to make it 1-0. Like when I listen back to his goal against Cruz Azul, I hear a little squeak in my voice. I think, like all these little things, but his first goal, well, the only goal Miami scored in that game during Nashville, I was really happy with that call, and that game was crazy. The whole Leagues Cup was crazy, man. The Club America Nashville stuff where we thought the game was over.
Right.
It's funny how they don't like that. Like we talked to John Strong about the yes, right? Or
they
all like don't like that. I guess maybe amongst each other they're all like, "Whoa, I heard your voice great," but it's so endearing to the rest of us. It's so humanizing.
Interesting. Yeah.
I thought it would be one of your favorite calls would be one of the 40 Dairon Espria bicycle kicks.
Dairon,
just wild. Like, how does he keep doing it?
Yeah,
talk about
regular goal.
Talk about squeaking and losing my voice. Oh, those bicycle kicks.
What was
incredible,
the clip,
man.
The clip where you recorded yourself and it was like the first time you ever did it?
That's what it was. So, okay, for the record, I didn't record myself. I don't want to come across as this egoist. But our video department had been like for years, like, hey, we got it. I think Liverpool did it, and our video videographer, a guy named Austin Webb, at the time was a huge Liverpool fan, and he was like, we want to put a GoPro in the booth, right? And we just never kind of did it. And then I think the Seattle Mariners did it on their run to the playoffs, and obviously being in Portland, like the proximity to the Mariners are kind of the baseball team of Portland also. So like it kind of was like just out in this forefront, and it was like, okay, we're going to do it. And the first game, it was just going to be a trial. We're going to see how this works. Can we sync it up? Yada, yada. Was when he had that bicycle kick goal against the Earthquakes, where Marcinkowski comes off his line, kind of messes up with it. Dyrone juggles it 40 yards from goal, and there's a bicycle kick into an open net. So they used it, and then our video team kept it going throughout that entire playoff run. And it's cool, and the reception from the Timbers supporters and the people on social media is amazing. Like, they loved it, I enjoy seeing it, because you can look at all these different reactions, and you can see like what Liam Ridgewell, how he's reacting in the real moment, right? Or Ross Smith, how he's reacting in the games that Ross was doing, or just like fans in the background. Or, if we're in the booth, not fans in the background. For MLS Cup, it was fans in the background when Morris scored, because we were in the stands calling that game. So I like it, but it also feels like so egotistical, doesn't it? Like so self-centered.
No,
like, hey, I'm going to take a video
You're talking
of
to
me
two
calling the
stand-up
game.
comedians
Like,
that are always on camera.
all
live
right.
streaming,
I appreciate that.
I need more of that.
Yeah.
Even when I was watching, I remember Liam Ridgewell's reaction was, I guess British tend to be a little bit more reserved. I'm like, Ridgewell, why are you doing backflips back there? That's nuts.
And he's just going, fair play.
Fair play. Exactly.
Fair play
Okay,
to you.
mate. Fair play, mate.
I remember Andres Cantor put a camera on himself for the World Cup final.
Yes.
And
Yes,
I
he
mean,
did.
that to me is like, you get
Yes.
to be able to see the emotion. To hear it is amazing, because you have the image of the game itself. But going back, now obviously not in the moment. I don't want to be looking at you, Jake. I want to see what's happening on the pitch. But go back and sort of see the face, the emotion behind your facial structure at that time, or your body language while you're making that call, kind of, I think, brings back even better memories. It adds another layer of memories if you're a fan of that team. So I think it's a huge.
Of course.
You're saying do more of it.
Oh man, cool. I'm glad people enjoy it. I'm glad people see it that way. Because for me, I never want the focus to be on me and us. I always want it to be on the game, because that's what it's about. And so that's kind of
Opposite,
where I'm
bro. We want the focus always.
Amen.
It's
But y'all have the
2024,
shoulder programming, right? Like, of course, it's got to be all about, like, oh man, but
The
we're calling
Manning
the
brothers
game.
are not solely focusing on the game. We're watching their faces while
Let's
watching
get a
the
Cooligans cast going on.
Oh, dude.
That's what we need, bro. All right. Well, Jake, Zivin, this has been an absolute blast, man. Thank you so much. It's always great to reconnect, but it's great just to see not only get to hear you week in and week out, but just you're obviously a part. You grow with the league, and we grow up with you as a part of it. So it's just always an honor. We're huge fans of the work you do. So just keep it up. I'm excited about this year. I know it's gonna be. I know you did say that you're not gonna be calling all the Inter Miami games with Taylor.
We're not.
It's funny.
Spoiler alert, we're not. Not all of them. I just said not all.
There's a Taylor Twellman's podcast, which I was on recently. I think the episode is not out yet. I hope it comes out, because we did a roast.
You roasted him.
We roasted Taylor Twellman.
Yes, I've heard
Taylor
that.
Twellman was like, that was fun, delete it. It's never coming
No,
out.
he was talking it up. He was talking it up for sure, so he's excited for it.
Okay, good. So it is coming out.
I know all about this. I hope it comes out.
There was a tease in a previous episode of his show. So, all right. So it's coming out.
I don't know. I don't know if it's going to come out.
Remind him.
Did you just use this moment to confirm the episode's coming out?
I don't know.
It was really good. It was so funny.
It's got nothing to do with you, Jake.
But we did make
nothing.
the connection was that I did make a joke about constantly hearing you, Taylor, and you on every single Inter Miami game, and to give other people opportunities.
Yeah.
So, all right.
Thank you guys, man.
Jake, thank you so much, man.
Hey.
Seriously, enjoy the year. And we're excited to hear you in 2024.
Congratulations to you guys on all your success, man. I've been like I feel like a day one cool. Like, I was listening to y'all when it was just a New York City podcast. I remember prepping for a New York City game I did on Fox in like 2019, and they're like, oh, the Cooligans are like a New York City podcast. And
Hey.
so, day
that's
one.
so
I don't know if that's
You're the
day
best.
one, but like it feels like it.
No, that's pretty
Shout out
good,
to
man.
you guys.
Thank you so much, Jake.
Cheers.
You're the man, brother. Cheers.
Yeah. See you guys.